video, you're going to see about the Fujifilm stabilization in this X-S20 camera, and we're going to discuss about what are the different modes of stabilization that you're going to see right up here now. So these are the options that you have in terms of your stabilization. So you're going to see that along with video examples of all of these options that you're having, the combination, so that you find out in terms of videography what stabilization works for which scenario. And I think the test is pretty rigorous in terms of I have tried to walk in the same area so that we don't have that much variation of each example in terms of the terrain, so that you get a fair idea of what's the shake, what's acceptable to you, and at the end of the video I'll give you my opinion on what I feel are the different correct options to choose based on what type of videography that you're doing. Okay, and just a quick note, in terms of photography, I think most mirrorless cameras which have stabilization in the body are good enough for hand holding shots in terms of a medium lens. So a medium lens will be around 24 to 70 or 24 to 80, that range. So if you're having a lens at that range, I think stabilization in terms of hand holding it for when you're taking a photo for 1 by 20th or 1 by 15th is more than possible. And obviously if you have a stabilized lens along with the body, then I think even 1 by 2 or 1 by 5 second exposure is possible. So that's all. Now let's get into the examples that you're going to see of the different modes of stabilization available in this camera. Let's get to it. So now this is with lens stabilization off and IS boost, that is digital stabilization, again off. So now you will see how this performs. As you can see, so I'm walking fairly fast. This is normal walking, I'll say. Now this is very careful, slow walking. So yeah, so I've stopped down to f4, but this is IBIS and OIS together, so DIS is off. So this is that, and IS boost is also off. So we'll see how this performs. And yes, this is how this setting performs. And I've also stopped down. Oh, there is a dog. Look at this is the dog. Yes, it's a friendly dog. But yes, that's how it is. There's a stranger looking at me thinking what I'm doing, but that's fine. Yes, so yeah, so this was IBIS and OIS with DIS off and IS boost off as well. So this is actually IBIS and DIS. So one thing to keep in mind is that DIS and IS boost is not the same thing. So this is with IBIS and DIS on, and IBIS obviously works with lens stabilization as well. So together you are going to see, so this mode is IBIS plus DIS and IS boost is off. Okay, so here lens stabilization is on, IBIS is on, and DIS is on. Okay, so now this one is with lens stabilization off, but obviously IBIS is on because the camera has it, and DIS is on, so IS boost is on. So you will see how this performs here. Okay, you're going to see that now. Now this mode is IBIS and OIS, no DIS, but with IS boost on. So you're going to see this configuration and see how this performs. And again, I am at f4, so I don't think for vlogging you need f2.8. I think it's a bit too blurry. So, but obviously it's better to have it than not have it. This is like fully extended out, as you can see. And yeah, this is decently comfortable. I think you can do it. So yeah, let me know how it is. And this place is also beautiful, as you can see, lots of water. So yeah, so this is a locality I actually come for running. So yeah, that's about the stabilization of this camera, how it performs. And We're going to also show you a clip of with my mobile, so just to showcase the quality as well as the stabilization. The stabilization is actually far superior in the mobile because the sensor is very small, but obviously the picture quality is quite different. So this is with my mobile. So mine is the Samsung S21 Ultra, but you're going to I think get this same stabilization with most of your mobile phones. So hopefully now you see how it is. Yeah. Now this is with the ultra wide. You're going to see how the stabilization is with the ultra wide. It should be more stable, but you may see some working in the corners. But let's see how the footage is. My recommendation is do not use IS boost. So why do I say? So you're going to see here, this is what Fuji says in their camera about IS boost. So as you can see, IS boost is not meant for moving subjects, okay? It is meant for static handhold situations, okay? So do not use IS boost, do not turn everything on and then expect the stabilization to perform very good in all scenarios. That's not the case. Also, if you are doing for wildlife, so if you're panning, right, if you expect, like if you're doing for birds, for example, birds in flight, also do not use IS boost in videography, because as you read, right, IS boost is meant for static handhold subjects. So a classic example is if you want a slow motion footage, or if you want a clip of when a bird is eating something, right, so that bird is stationary at that point, then use it. For example, if you are doing say wedding photography and if you don't expect the subject of your video or photo to be not moving that much, then do it, then you will get best result. So in a nutshell, my recommendation is whenever subjects are moving, do not use IS boost, okay? Use IS boost only when subjects are stationary, right, and you want like very smooth footage in terms of stabilization. Please understand one thing, just because the subject is not moving doesn't mean you're going to get very stable footage. You may get shaky footage, right, when you're using long lenses. That is when IS boost really comes into play. So if you're using a lens like a 90 millimeter, 105 or 135 millimeter, so if you're using such focal length lenses, then IS boost comes into play. But please understand that IS boost will not come into play when you're vlogging. Please keep that in mind. Also another thing which I would have probably stamped in the video, but DIS adds a 1.1 time crop onto the existing crops if you have any. So please keep that in mind when you're choosing DIS. So I don't think it's a huge issue. 1.1 times crop is nothing, for example. So my recommendation for vlogging will be OIS, IBIS and DIS. So these three I'll recommend. If you're doing like very if you're panning and stuff, again like I said, please do not use IS boost. So that was the entire stabilization that you saw. Now in terms of my verdict about the stabilization of the X-S20, I feel that the X-S20 is a decent camera in terms of stabilization, but it's not very good. The reason why I say it's not very good is because there are cameras like the Panasonic S5 II, like the Olympus OM1, which offer better stabilization for not that much more money, okay? So I got this camera for Indian currency of 1.39 lakhs with the lens and the the handle grip, whatever you want to call it. I mean the Fuji handle, right, where you can control everything. So the entire package I got it at 1.39 lakhs Indian currency. So that will be approximately $1,300 in US currency. And the OM1 is available currently at around 1.5, and the Lumix S5 II is available for approximately 2 lakhs. So if you have the budget, I'll say from purely from stabilization standpoint, those cameras are better. Now this camera is a bit better than the OM1 in terms of the picture quality and resolution. So, and again, by the way, if you're comparing Olympus's, and you're saying that, hey, it has, that pixel shift or that high res mode, no, that doesn't work every time. Okay, so this camera is much better than that. The Lumix S5 II is a very worthy competitor. I also actually wanted, or rather I compared both the cameras before making a purchase. So, and I'll get into why I picked this over the S5 II in another separate video. But yeah, broadly, a spoiler alert for that video is the lens selection of the X mount versus the Lumix L mount. Okay, that's the difference maker, but I'll get onto that in another video. But in a nutshell, the stabilization here is good in terms of vlogging, not great. Okay, I would have expected it to be, for at least vlogging, a much better stabilized footage. For example, something like a catalyzed browse option that Sony has, they could have released that with this camera, only for this camera, because that is the way you separate this from the X-T5 or the X-T4 even, for that matter. So yeah, that's what I'll say. And yeah, but for wildlife, again, it has absolutely brilliant stabilization for wildlife. So again, I'll show you the footage of wildlife in another video when I'll categorically speak about the autofocus system, because there you are going to see the footage itself, so you'll get an idea. But that's the next video, the final part of this X-S20 review. So yeah, again, in a nutshell, the stabilization is good, not great. It's very good for wildlife. It's good to okayish for vlogging. That's what I'll say. Now, in terms of direct competition, do I think the Sonys are that good? No. To be honest, a lot of people use the Sony for vlogging, but hey, the stabilization is not that great. It's not much better than this, if at all. Obviously, you can catalyze browse if you're having the Alpha 7C or the Alpha 7C2 A7 IV, but hey, those cameras cost a lot of money and it takes a long time to edit, or rather the entire process of catalyst browse. So all in all, it meets the needs. It could have been even way better, which I feel it could have been. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this camera. And again, like I mentioned, in the next video you're going to see the autofocus and how it performs, and you're going to see how it resembles the stabilization test that you saw, that you have to actually be aware of the settings. You have to know what settings to dial to get the best autofocus performance. So yeah, see you in the next video. And finally, if you found this content to be good, because I haven't seen anyone on YouTube do it in this depth, so if you like the video, please consider subscribing or liking the video, so that it reaches out to more people and they may find it helpful. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye.